First of all, this is not a virtual background. Those are real trees in my real backyard, real birds you're hearing, real puppy dogs will probably be coming in and out. And when I sold my interest in my law practice in 1993, I had a beautiful office, but I'll tell you, this is my new office. This is a better office. Chances are, if you're watching this, you're looking for an upgrade in terms of your office as well, not just your physical office, what the practice of law could look like or not look like if you decide you don't want to do that. Chances are it's not the first time you've thought about this. I did webinars on whether you've hit the expiration date on your law practice over a year ago. And I have clients now that I've shepherded through the process. And that process could be getting out of the law. It could be creating a side hustle that you can jump to so you can gradually transition. It might be just finding a better way or a better situation in which you can practice law. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to procrastinate. We don't want to say, oh my God, yeah, I've suffered another year and then here I am back to where I was before. And what keeps us from making a change is the fact that we're in survival. I've heard it called the monkey house effect, which is you hang around a monkey house long enough, you no longer smell the monkey doo-doo. And we've been in survival so long, we no longer even know we're in survival. And what happens when we're in survival? Anything new is a threat. So as long as you're in survival, it's going to be very hard for you to seriously consider a transition out of what you're doing now, because that's become the new normal. So how do we break out of that normal? How do we find a different perspective that we can actually apply to the options that are available to us? And this is the reason I'm doing the webinar on the 19th at noon Eastern, is to give people an opportunity to experience this. Well, I got an insight into this working with Navy SEALs a couple of years ago. You know, we think we're under stress as attorneys, or that we're hyper-focused or whatever. We think everything's life or death. For those guys, that's what they live under. And these guys were transitioning out of deployment, either getting out of the Navy or finding something that was, a little less stressful. And after a full day of kind of bringing them to a different kind of state, a couple of the guys said to me, this is unbelievable. I didn't know I could actually feel this way. And I said, well, the way you were before, that hypervigilance, that one wrong move, one moment of unconsciousness, get a whole bunch of people killed, that was normal. What you're feeling now is natural. So what we're going to be doing in the webinar is give you a taste of what it's like to be back into a natural state of ease and peace and trust and flow. All these other buzzwords that are actually reality. I can tell you, this is what my life is like, and this is what the lives are like of the people that I work with. It happens to be my superpower, to create conditions where you can make decisions and make transitions more quickly, more gracefully, and with, a lot less gratuitous suffering. So how do we create those conditions? How do we get to the point where you're no longer in the survival so that the idea of a change is impossible? How do we get you to natural versus what we've taken to be normal, the monkey house effect, the normalcy of what often is the insanity of our law practices? Well, there's a couple of conditions which work for me in my life in terms of making transitions and being where I end up right now. I'm 73 years old. I got this great office. I got a great wife. I got a great life. I like who I am. And I've been able to bring that to others as well. First, you have to create the environment, the culture, the context where you can get out of survival. And that requires individual and collective authenticity and vulnerability. Two words that I know are buzzwords, but they're actually real things. Authenticity starts with me. Authenticity is contagious. Every time I've tried to be something other than I am, it doesn't work. And if nothing else, you may click off and say, I don't want anything to do with this guy. You're not going to be able to dismiss me as not being real, for lack of a better word. And that's contagious, and that spreads out. But also, we create a safe and vulnerable space. Try as again, that might sound. But what I've heard when I was doing a lot of webinars is, my God, I got one place I can be with other lawyers and I don't have to pretend to be more or less than I am. I don't have to hide. I don't have to position myself. So one, you've got to create something where you feel safe enough to move out of fight or flight, to move out of survival. And the second thing is you need a process that works. And what I've done is I have reverse engineered the process by which I was able to make this transition out of law and the various transitions that have happened in my life, and they're still happening. And reverse engineer the process that I've then applied to other lawyers and other professionals and SEALs, whatever, to help them make the transition into something that is more in line with their heart, with their health, with their families, with those that love, as they love, and those that love them. And it's a 6 milestone process, 6 areas that we're going to cover in the webinar, and I'll be sending out some emails about these as well. First, you're going to be just shamelessly idealistic. We're not going to put limits on what's possible. And at the same time, we're going to incorporate a relentless accountability. So it's going to be art and science. It's going to be dreaming, and then also accountability, what's actually possible. And that's going to be where you are right now, where you can move, what your skills are, what the market's like, what's calling out to you. How do we get rid of limiting beliefs? So these are part of the 6 steps, and that's what we're going to be covered. It's a 1-hour webinar. And I can tell you that I don't want you to be back in a year saying, oh my God, I've had another year with my music locked up inside of me. There's a beautiful quote from Oliver Wendell Holmes. Most people die with their music still locked inside of them. That's because they're always waiting, and before they know it, time runs out. That's not what I want for any of us. So there's a ripening, and maybe it'll take a year. but maybe the time is now. Let's find out. Join, share an hour together. It's an hour. It's free. There's a link down there. Sign up and let's get on with it. Let's stop surviving and let's start living. The life is calling out to us, and I know it's possible for you, or I wouldn't be having this conversation with you right now with the birdies and the trees and the puppy dogs.